Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another segment of Fun N Games. I'm Michelle Stone.
I'm Jenna Rose.
We are the Underground Music Collective. We are here today in the Real Music Nashville studios, which, if you guys have been keeping up, is the new home of Fun N Games. We're back for another edition of Drinking with Founders. It's a new segment that we're doing on Fun N Games where we bring in some of the most amazing founders of Nashville doing the greatest things for the community. And today we have a very special guest. We have Miss Shawney of Everything But Country Music. You want to go and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me here first. But my name is Shawney Rain, and back in April, I launched Everything But Country Music, EBCM for short. And what we do, we create opportunities for creatives in Nashville. So whether we do poetry nights or showcases, or we're working on some comedy events, we just want to really bridge that gap between the opportunities that country music artists have and then the rest of the creative industry have. So that's what we do, and that's what we've been doing since April.
And that's so important too, because Nashville, everyone thinks Nashville is a country music city, and it's very country, but it's actually not. Mm-hmm. Nashville has a diverse network of music.
Full of just creativity in general, just full of creatives.
Yeah, and so it's so incredible that she's doing this and really shining a light. I actually came across Everything But Country Music because I was invited to an event. Maggie Miles, Manic, Sly Boy, which, I interviewed them too. Shout out if you're watching this. Sly Boy had a performance, and I was like, I want to come to that, and that was one of your events.
Yeah, that was actually our first one.
It was your first one?
Very first one, yes.
That was your first one?
Yes, if you saw me, I was running around like crazy. I was so stressed out.
That is impressive because you had vendors, that place was packed. It was an elegant venue.
Thank you.
It was so incredible. But I immediately was like, and then I found out a woman ran it, and that's when I was like, okay. Because me and Jenna, we run Music City Movement, which I kind of told you a little bit about. Yeah. And I think it's so incredible to come across other women that are doing just wonderful creative things in the community.
It's powerful, especially when we're supporting each other.
That's the biggest thing.
Important. Yeah,
the support. Yeah, and not trying to.
Not trying to have any competition between each other. That's one of the things that I love about Nashville. We were, before the camera started rolling, we were kind of talking about this kind of stuff, and that's one of the things that I love about here is that there's the competition. The sense of competition is very. It's just a really healthy environment. Everybody wants to support each other and see each other succeed.
Honestly, that's where EBCM got started. So when I moved to Nashville the first time, I had no experience with music, with myself as a writer and artist and creative, and I've always been passionate about it. I've always wanted to pursue that, and I was blown away by the people who are willing to help and to, donate their time to, teach me how to write a song, like the proper structure, or, introduce me to people in the industry and just kind of keep at it, and believe in me when I'm just like, ooh, can I do this? You know what I mean? And Nashville is just filled with that. People who are just encouraging you, supporting you, like coming out to, your events and lifting you up. And, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a support team and community for creatives, for hip hop artists, for pop artists, for, indie musicians, because it's here. The support is here. I think sometimes it's just hard to find it, and it's so easy to get discouraged, and I think it's so easy to quit when you don't feel like you're part of something or a part of a community, and I've felt that too. And so that's honestly where we got started, or where I really was like, ooh, I think there's something here.
Yeah, and it's also so easy to give up in a sense if you're not willing to put in the work, because doing stuff that we're doing what you're doing, it takes passion. Like, if you're not passionate about it, then you're just going to put it to the side and procrastinate. I know there's many things I'm not passionate about that I have to do, and I will procrastinate until I get them done.
Yes.
And that can be the death of things. Let's track it back a little bit, though. Tell everybody kind of about where you're from and the origin of you. And I know we just went through your transformation, which you can share as much as you want about that, but just let everybody know about you.
This is always an interesting question. I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I was adopted. I was born in Chicago, but then adopted and was raised on a farm. Right? It's usually that's usually
Farm
the
girl.
reaction I get. Yeah, I don't really come across as a farm girl, so they're like, "Wait, are you sure?" But I was raised on a farm, very strict upbringing. We weren't allowed to listen to music. We weren't allowed to really participate in like pop culture. Very family oriented, very and kind of that family bubble was kind of our life, right? Like we were about 15 minutes from town, and we grew everything on the farms. There wasn't a lot of reason to leave. And so I was, as a child, I had a lot of like creative energy that was kind of suppressed. And so it took me a while to allow myself to explore that. So I went to college on a track and field scholarship, and kind of had a breakdown at one point my junior year, and because I was doing a lot of things I didn't want to do, and I was really a creative at heart, but I was pursuing a law degree, so it made no sense, and so I kind of had a breakdown, and I remember somebody asking me, my friend Kira Harris, and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what is it you want to do?
What
and
a heavy question.
Right.
Yeah.
But I already knew the answer, and I was like, I want to sing. I want to be an artist. That's what I want to do. I just never knew how to do that. And he's like, then do it. And it just seems so simple. So I literally dropped out of school like the next day, and started bartending and serving first, and saved my money, and then just moved to Nashville. And it took me a long time of like being here, and really, because there's a lot of talent here. It's overwhelming at times, and it took me a while to admit that that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to be an artist, that I wanted to be a creative, I wanted to build something or multiple things. So that's kind of a summary of, my journey. And I lived in Nashville for 4 years, and then went through a breakup. And as I said before, I just kind of ran away to California to kind of find myself. And I think I did. I think in a way I started to, and I'm on that journey and on that path right now. And I know you mentioned like a spiritual journey earlier, and I feel like I'm still on that journey, but I'm so much further than I was before, because I'm actually intentionally like searching, instead of being like, oh, I'm hurting and I don't know why. I'm like, okay, like let's figure out my triggers, let's figure out my trauma, and let's grow and evolve from it.
And address it. A lot of things too, which this is a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the issues you have come from your childhood. It dates back to your childhood trauma.
I believe that with my whole heart.
It really is true. And the comment you made when you said you wouldn't expect me to be a farm girl, I think it's so incredible, because you look at someone and it's so easy to assume what kind of person they are. I mean, we both get it all the time. Like, I'll tell people stuff I do, and they're like, oh, wow, I never would have expected that. I had a really bad childhood, and people never would have expected that. And it just goes to show how much depth people have, and how it's important to really get to know somebody and not assume something, because so many people have such strong histories that you would never expect. Yeah.
And I believe that everybody has light, an inner light, and I think that a lot of that, a lot of people are able to carry that from their childhood, and sometimes we suppress it. But I feel like we're kind of conditioned to suppress it,
Oh, absolutely. Your inner child.
Your inner child, right?
Your inner creative,
your
especially.
Inner creative, all of that. I like to call your light, your inner light, and it is your inner child. It is that pure version of yourself, and that true version of yourself. And I feel like the more you suppress it, the more trauma you go through without trying to like heal, the less you're able to kind of show that light. And I think when you kind of address it head on, you start to feel better, and that's what happened to me. I had all of this pain that I had suppressed for years, and I also like didn't have the best childhood, and I just ignored it. I'm just like, oh, I'm fine. And I had a lot of anger, and I didn't even realize I was angry. You know what I mean? Like, I had no clue the type of person I was a few years ago, until I left and did some soul searching. I was like, wow, I really don't like myself, and that was because of years of, trying to be somebody else, not allowing myself to be myself and to live my truth and, do what I needed to do in order to feel whole or complete or whatever that, looked like. I did everything else.
And when you're a creator too, having that suppressed can be, it can really mess you up.
It can be very damaging.
You need to create.
For creatives, it's more, that's like what we live on. That's our fuel. And so if you just bottle it up, it can really destroy your soul. I can identify so much with so much of your story, because I have like so many parallels in my story, in my history as well, in my development into who I am now. But the idea of acknowledging all those traumas and the pain and the anger and all of that, once you can acknowledge it, you can bring it to the surface and you can accept it. And once you've accepted it, it loses all of its power.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And then it's like, it still exists, it's still there, it's still part of you, but it's not controlling you subconsciously anymore.
Yeah.
Shadow work.
Yeah.
So tell us about your artist. So you said we know you're the founder of everything. We're going to touch a little bit on the artist part. For those of you who don't know, like she just talked about, she does do music. We're not going to get into that today because we're wanting to talk about the founding, but let's tell everyone a little bit about what kind of music do you prefer to make? Like, I don't want to say genre because I hate that word, but like, do you want to tell everybody a little bit?
Do you want to hear something really funny?
Yes.
So when I moved to Nashville, I thought I wanted to do country music. Yeah, it's really fun. I was like, should I tell them that?
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. That is incredible.
But I quickly learned that was not
incredible.
my thing. Yeah, I didn't really feel fully creative in that genre. I love to tell stories. I love writing. I've been writing most of my life because that's always just been how I like expressed. It was hard for me to open up to people for a really long time.
Were you journaling away in the farm? Like I picture you as a little girl like hiding away, like I gotta write my songs.
That's so funny. I hid all the time. Like I hid from my family. Like when my parents would have like not family gatherings, like they'd have guests over and do like parties and entertain and whatnot, I would go to my room and I'd hide until my dad would come get me and be like, force me to like, interact. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is so scary. But yeah, I was such a daydreamer. So like I would just like go out into like the fields because we lived on a lot of property, and I would just kind of like sit there and make up stories in my head, and that transitioned to me writing them down. And then when I got older and started feeling more like emotions that I didn't really understand, because when you're younger, it's just all like happy-go-lucky, you know what I mean? Like kids, you can't, there's no
responsibilities.
Yeah.
So.
But when I was about like 12, I started noticing, so I grew up in, an all-white community in a small town, and I started noticing those things. I started feeling like different at school, getting picked on, like things like that. And so I turned to writing to really, express what I was feeling. And a lot of what I was feeling, I didn't really understand. I couldn't really like articulate it. So I just had to write it down. And I started writing poetry first, and that turned into lyrics and trying to, pick it out on the piano. And then I kept that to myself for years. Like my family didn't know that I sang or wrote music or anything. And then once I got to Nashville, I was like, I think maybe country music, because like that's what everybody's doing here. So, and I like to tell stories. I like to tell my story. And so the first song I ever released was called Tin Roof House, and it was a country song. I still really like the song. Like I'm like, that was a pretty good song. So, but I realized that it wasn't what I was actually passionate about. So I started exploring other genres because I wasn't allowed to really explore it growing up because we weren't allowed to really listen to music, so I had to like sneak it. Or I found Maroon 5 songs about Jane, their CD on the side of the road, and that was like,
oh my God, how spiritual is that? That's just incredibly spiritual.
My favorite story probably because I was a runner from a really young age, and just because I had so much energy, I literally would like see how many times I could run our property. Like I was bored.
Well, it sounds like there wasn't a lot going on.
No,
so
there wasn't.
I'd be trying to run too, everywhere.
and that was like all that it was farm work or, figure out what to do. And I was going for a run. I was in 6th grade, and I found their CD on the side of the road. And whenever nobody was home, I would play it, learn it, perform it. And I was obsessed with that CD for like years. And it's to this day the only CD I've ever owned. Like I've never bought a CD, but that was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But that was the first introduction of, I think, the style of music that I really was passionate about without realizing it. So now I really focus on like soulful pop, with like hints of like R&B, and I love blues. I love blues.
So like jazz
So I try to like pull from different elements. I actually took down all of my music at the end of 2020, and I'm completely rebranding. And then starting in August, I'm putting out a song a month.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm about to
So what
hit it
date
hard.
in August?
So my birthday is August 12th.
This will be premiering August 11th. So everyone wish Miss
Birthday
Shawney happy
episode.
birthday in the comments, please.
So on the 12th.
That's my
I'll be
dog's
putting
birthday
out
too, August 12th.
August 12th.
She's going to be 10. I'm going to be having a doggy party if you
Your dog's a Leo. Do
Maybe
animals
having
have like signs? I don't know.
You're the
Probably.
one to answer that question.
Yeah.
Do they? Do dogs have signs?
Gosh, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know.
She doesn't really seem like a typical Leo.
Coco's
too
a
chill.
different breed of everything. She's like a person, but Coco's not being interviewed today. But I am having a doggy party for her if you want to come. That's incredible though. So rebranding yourself, tell us a little bit about that. Like, does it feel like just your music, or does it feel like just a new chapter for you?
Oh, it's a complete rebrand. It kind of started when I came back from California. I had a few opportunities that kind of made me wake up. Like I either have to decide I want to do this or, not, because I was still kind of timid as far as like being an artist and believing in myself and trusting that it was possible. And one of my mentors was pitching this work tape that I sent her. Like it wasn't even like a demo or anything. It was just me and a guitar. And MTV actually liked it and had it on. So they paired me with Brandon Gomes, and he is part of the cast for Siesta Key. And so they flew the cast to Nashville and like shadowed us and filmed us in the studio, and then we performed it. Yeah, it was an incredible opportunity, but like I hadn't done anything before, so it went from like me not being having anything to me having
0 to 100, yeah.
0 to 100. I hadn't even performed yet, so that was my first performance, and it was like televised. So I was like, so it was a lot.
Oh God, it's stressful.
Yeah, and it made me realize like, hey, like you either gotta do this or not. There's no like kind of teetering anymore, and that was the first thing that happened, and then I was going further and further down that spiritual journey, and I realized I wanted to change my name. And so I changed my name from Damish, that's my original last name, my adoptive last name, to Rain. And I was in the process of getting it legally changed. Then COVID happened and everything shut down. And I was like, well, I guess it'll just be like my artist name for now.
I know all about that. I took my daddy's last name. My real father, I met him shortly, and right in the middle of COVID, same thing. It's because you have to go through the courts, and then when you go
exactly, yeah. And I was like, well, I guess we'll save it.
Yeah,
we'll save it.
That's but confidence is a big part of performing, because I'm the same way. I just performed for the first time like a month ago, and I realized, because she made a comment. She was like, the more confident you get, the more you'll be able to perform and not take away from the song. Because when you're confident and you perform your music, it actually, you can really sing your song the way, because like when you're by yourself, like I know you're listening, you can like hit that stuff, and then people come out and you're like,
yeah, it's hard.
Okay,
and
now
it's very vulnerable too. Like it's
Well, it's stuff that it's you and it's your writing. Because, I mean, you're a poet. You know exactly how it is. Let's talk more about that, though. So for Everything But Country Music isn't just shows and events with musicians. You started poetry night.
Yeah.
And I'm a poet, so I messaged you, actually, and was like, here's my poetry. Can I come speak at your thing?
Come to all of them.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Tell people about that. Like, what inspired you to start? Because you're a poet.
Yeah.
So is that what made you to have a field to speak in? And, like...
I don't know if I would classify myself as a poet, just because I've met so many incredible poets here that I'm just like, whoa, y'all are so good. But I do like to write, and every now and then my words rhyme. But I guess in a way, I'm not really sure what inspired me to start poetry nights. I think I just wanted to understand that community more. I didn't really see a lot of poetry nights in Nashville being advertised, and so I was just like, I'm gonna just see what happens. And we had our first poetry night at Cabana Taps, and we had a great turnout. We had some incredible readers, and I've dabbled with like spoken word before, and one of my favorite pieces that I've ever written is a spoken word piece, and so I just really wanted to see what else is out there, and I wanted to learn from other poets and other creatives, which I didn't even realize that at that time that's what I was trying to do. But then as it kind of grew, and I just saw all these incredible people opening up on stage and crying and pouring their souls out, and being so open and healing, and then the audience allowing them to heal and just giving them that support. And every poetry night we do gets that much more open and that much more powerful, and that much more healing happens. And you see it, you feel it. And like, I literally cry every poetry night we have. And I mean, I'm a crier. I'm a sensitive person. I'm very emotional, but it's not because of that. It's because it's so real, and I know people who, aren't typically more sensitive and emotional, like, come and they experience something similar. And so I didn't realize how powerful those types of events were and how needed they were in Nashville. And once I did the first one, I was like, we have to keep doing these, and then I've just met some incredible poets, and the community just keeps growing naturally.
They're out there. I mean, they're waiting.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
That's what it is. They're waiting.
They're waiting to be heard.
Yes.
Because being a poet, like, I mean, any poet that's watching this or does poetry, like, I put out a spoken poetry. I've posted my poetry. Nobody pays attention. And you're like, I'm just only bearing my soul in this. No big deal. Like, this is a huge part of me. And you post it, and people are like, oh, that's cool. And they don't read it. And you're like, you put it in your captions, people still don't read it. Like,
yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of gain an audience for, which is why it's so important to have things like this, because it creates that space for it, and that safe space where people are ready to take it in and really pay attention to it and give it the support. And speaking of support, what you were mentioning before about having Everything But Country Music be a source of support and community building and all that, that's something that that is really important to us. That's the mission of Music City Movement, is building a supportive community around original music and creatives and the industry in general, creating a space for people to come together, come out to an event where they get to be with their friends, because hopefully they are making friends with the people that regularly attend the events. And the people that attend, our aim is to have all kinds of industry professionals there, so that everybody can mingle and meet people that are going to be beneficial in their lives from their experience or from the services that they can provide. And Nashville is such a magical place for that. There's so much here. What really is the biggest benefit to artists in Nashville is not building an audience. It's building a network. Yes. And so what you're doing is so it's exactly what we are also
It's
trying
also
to do.
people
and
you'd
it's
never
so-
meet too.
Yeah,
Like that never would meet
exactly,
together.
providing a space to bring people together that then everybody's gonna benefit from it, and so much more creation is going to happen from it.
And speaking of events, you have a big one coming up.
Yes.
You just posted. So you do all that by yourself.
So live on the Cumberland, I am collaborating with the PSV store. So
Tell us about that. Go in.
Okay, so this event, I just one day was like, my friend asked me to film this video with him, this promotional video for his upcoming release, and he's like, meet me at this park in this parking lot, and then kind of gave me directions to get to it, and it was the Cumberland Park, and I get there and I was like, this is so cool. Like, I didn't know this was here. Like, there's a stage. Like, I was like, how do I do an event here? And I'm not kidding. I turn and there's like this little I don't know what it is, but it's a sign. That's what it is. So it says, if you want to have, like, literally a sign.
I love how you're like, it's a it's a sign. That's the thing I'm looking for, a sign.
I was really excited. And it says, do you want to host an event here? Call this number. Like, literally.
Girl,
and I was like,
the angels are following you.
okay. So I pull out my phone and I call
following
the
you.
number, and it's Metro Park, and I leave a voicemail, and then I've been going back and forth with them for the last few months, trying to figure out how to make this possible. And I met Terrence along the way with the PSV store, and he has the same mission as us. So he's, building up a community of support for artists as well. And I was like, let's do this together. The more the merrier. That's how I feel about everything. And so we just started collaborating on, getting the musicians, getting the vendors, and then we're like, let's just make it a festival. And so we're just winging it.
It's one day, right? Is it a one day? It's a one day thing?
Yeah, it starts at noon. So it's Thursday, July 29th, starts at noon, and then we're going till 10 p.m.
And can people, this will be out after that already happened. So I was going to say, can people find you there? But by the time you watch this, the event will already have happened.
That's true.
That's just incredible, though, to be able to, because you just started. So to be able to be where you're at now, where you're having a festival at Cumberland Park, a year from now, I can only imagine where everything in country music is going to be. It's going to be, I want to go into it more. We're almost winding down to the end of the interview, but we're definitely going to have Shawney back for an artist interview because we want to see her perform. And we talked about it earlier today. We want to get you back and have you actually go more in depth about your writing
I would love that.
and all that. But do you want to tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram? Are you on TikTok or Facebook?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Instagram. We will be on TikTok probably by the time this airs. So, EBCM, I'm not sure what the handle is yet, but I'm sure it'll be the same as our Instagram, which is EBCM_Nash. Our website is everythingbutcountrymusic.com. And we host events the second Saturday of every month. And so the next one will be August 14th. And that one's actually going to be at Home Studio.
Oh, that's where we used to do the Fun and Games.
Oh, yeah.
So August 14th, this will be out. That's 2 days after your birthday.
Yes.
So is that open to everyone, or how is that going to be? Ticketed or?
It is ticketed. Okay. Tickets are $10, general admission. We have about 8 artists that.
Who's some artists in the lineup you want to just go out?
Yeah, so we have Bella Moon, Phoenix Red, EJ Maker.
Oh.
Who else do we have in this lineup? Danny Polo.
You're getting some good artists too that aren't really out there a lot, that are saving the performances for. So it's going to be better for people. Yeah, special occasion for people to come out. And poetry nights, are those every?
Yeah.
What days
so
are those?
typically they're the last Sunday of every month, but in August it's going to be on the 20th, which is a Friday. And we're actually going to be collaborating with Po Boys and Poets on that poetry night. So it's
Po Boys and
really
Poets, that's amazing.
Yes, yeah. No, I was stalking their Instagram and just liking all their stuff, and
that's how you get their attention. You're just like
exactly.
Pay attention to me.
And then hitting up their poets and poaching up.
So can anyone hop on? Say if you're a poet and you just want to come and hop on, can you just come and hop on?
Yeah, it's open mic. All of them are open mics. Well, the ones that I've done with Po Boys and Poets, it'll be the same style. And it's just open to whoever wants to read.
And what if someone
create.
wants to play with everything but country music? Where should they just message you, or should they go on the
Yeah,
website?
I would say DM me on Instagram. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I get a lot of emails, and I'm not always the best at like getting back super quickly just because there's so much going on. But I also monitor the Instagram page, and so I see DMs a lot quicker than emails.
Yeah,
just
you
'cause I get
answer
so many
very
emails.
fast on there.
Yeah, I'm a lot more active on social media. I think it's just because generational thing, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's easier to be active on Instagram too. But yeah, so you guys look out for more work. We're definitely going to be doing more work with her. I want to hop on a freestyle poet night because I've just been waiting for a platform to actually be able to speak my poetry.
Next one Sunday.
There's one this Sunday?
So so coming up in a couple days.
Girl, what time is it?
Starts at 7, and we don't have a time limit for this one.
I'm coming.
Yes.
I already have that poem I want to play. Oh my God. I want this. Okay, guys, but it's really fun. This has been another episode of Drinking with Founders.
We didn't even drink anything.
Yeah, we have some tequila. We have tequila for her. Yeah, she's been sipping on it a little bit. But we're going to have some really great founders on for a bunch of our next episodes, so be sure to stay tuned. Follow Underground Music Collective. Follow Real Music Nashville, Music City Movement, everything but country music. And just keep up with all the incredible things happening.
It's all exciting.
Yeah, in Nashville. And you got amazing women doing incredible things. So yeah, but we will see you guys next time.